As Donald Trump continues to tank our economy here in the United States, here is what he's posting on his social media platform. He goes, "We're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, just watch!" Exclamation point. That as the markets are tanking. Also, if you look at that photo that he posted from his interview on Fox, the Chiron reads that Ukraine doesn't have the cards. So it's a twofer, folks. He is serving as Putin's stooge while crashing the United States economy. Just so you can hear what the full video of what he said is, you can hear what a huckster and see what a huckster is. Let's just play that clip.
Where are we? Are we just about? We're just about ready to land.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you, and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what. Of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you. You just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great. And the plane is landing. And thank you for a lot of good questions. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, one of the strangest and also most dangerous clips I think you can possibly watch. I'll give everybody some good news for Donald Trump, though, because his buddy Jeff Bezos is putting Apprentice seasons 1 through 7 on Amazon Prime. So Donald Trump did make a deal, not the deals that he promised, but as he was there on Air Force One, he said, "Here, it looks like we're going to land, everybody." And then the question was, you hesitated when Maria Bartiromo, who's like your own propagandist, Donald Trump, asked you a softball question about, do you believe there's going to be a recession? And the question that was asked, if you couldn't hear it, was, but you did hesitate. And Trump's response was, of course I hesitated. Of course I hesitated, when refusing to answer that he was unsure if there was going to be a recession because, for example, the Atlanta Federal Reserve is now predicting a 2.8% negative GDP for quarter one, where if Donald Trump simply did nothing and kept former President Biden's economy on autopilot, literally did nothing, there would be about a 3 to 4% GDP growth. So a negative 6% GDP swing, bringing us into a great recession and potentially a depression. And Donald Trump saying, of course there's uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen. Donald Trump was supposed to also appear on numerous occasions today at various meetings, which he did not show up to, or at least bring the cameras at while the markets were crashing. So if you were watching even the propaganda state regime media known as Fox, you would see things like this. Let's play this clip.
And if you have different people in the administration giving different messages, I mean, the Commerce Secretary and the president are having different messages on the same day. That's not giving the market any sort of ease or certainty for investors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even greater crash.
We should let Jonathan keep talking because the market's come back 50 points.
There you go. There you go.
But obviously, the Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Donald Trump took office.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
This is the same network that would try to spin record-setting day after day under former President Biden's economy. And they're like making jokes about it. Looks like we got 50 more points while it was down close to 1,000 points. Oh, looks like it picked up 50 points. I mean, that is who this propaganda network is. Even they can't spin it. But Donald Trump's propagandists were out there on all of the networks trying to spin it that this is Biden's fault, that Biden's the one responsible for this. This is Kevin Hassett, Donald Trump's National Economic Council director. This guy was the guy in 1999, right before the dot-com crash, who predicted that things were about to soar. This guy's wrong about everything. He's the person who Trump has on his team. But Trump's whole team are the people who are wrong about everything, right? Who's the most wrong on a topic? I don't know. Who do you want for Health and Human Services? Who could be most wrong? Well, let's pick RFK Jr., the guy who's anti-vaccine and anti-studying infectious disease. Okay, let's pick that guy. Who do you want as your defense secretary? I'm not. How about that Fox host? Hegseth? The weekend guy, the weekend host. Let's give him the most important position in our government, basically, other than the president. Let's make that guy the defense secretary. Okay, good one, good one. Who should we put to lead Homeland Security? The woman who shot our dog? Oh, bingo. Let's bring her. She'll be great. And she could cosplay different outfits every day. Who should lead the Department of Justice? Oh, Pam Bondi? Wasn't that the lady who was leading the Attorney General's office in Florida during all the Epstein years and did nothing? Yeah. Let's make her. Let's do it. Anyway, I digress. This is Kevin Hassett right here, Trump's top economic guy. Here, play it.
Near term, we've got a Biden economy that, still most of Biden policies are in place. If you look at the Atlanta Fed GDP now number, it's showing negative first quarter, which is kind of, if you like, a metric of the inheritance of President Biden. A lot of that is also from a big increase in the trade deficit, which, as you know and you've been covering, Joe, is happening in part because people are anxious about future tariffs, and so they're stockpiling. And so that's a very, very temporary phenomenon.
I mean, when you hear these people talking, doesn't it remind you, and no offense to, ShamWow and OxyClean and all of those people who would sell those products, and you may have found great success, but I won't bring it to those products. But don't they seem like those people, those guys from the 90s who would pop up at like 2 a.m. and start like selling you things? You're going to be so rich, you're not going to want to know what to do. You're not going to know what to do. Speaking of which, then Donald Trump posts this. This is their priorities, right? As they're gutting our programs here in the United States, getting rid of $880 billion in Medicaid, zeroing out key programs and calling it a continuing resolution, firing, 80,000 people who work at Veterans Affairs, 10,000 people who work at the Social Security Administration office, shutting down key services. They do have priorities, though, and they're focused on Greenland. Donald Trump posts and Elon Musk amplifies. As I made clear during my joint address to Congress, the United States strongly supports the people of Greenland's right to determine their own future. We will continue to keep you safe, as we have since World War II. We are ready to invest billions of dollars to create new jobs and make you rich. And if you so choose, we will welcome you to be part of the greatest nation anywhere in the world, the United States of America. And Elon Musk reposts that. The Prime Minister of Greenland responded, quote, "The recent things that the American president has done mean that you don't want to get close to the U.S. as you might have wanted to in the past. We need to draw a line in the sand and spend more effort on those countries that actually show us respect for the future that we want to draw." Brett, the Elon Musk and Doge, interesting that they're amplifying that we should get rid of all of our programs here that literally keep people alive. We should destroy the lives of veterans. But what we should do is invest billions into Greenland, while the Greenland prime minister is saying, now you're attacking our sovereignty. That's a nice little roundup of what's going on in the Trump reality show that we are all non-consensual participants of.
Well, I think we've been saying from the beginning that Donald Trump's whole framing of this MAGA movement as America first or making America great again is just complete and utter bullshit from the get-go. It's all just a total scam in order to transfer wealth from the working people of this country to the wealthiest people of this country by wrapping itself in patriotism, by wrapping itself in this faux Christian behavior, this Christian nationalism. And they use the iconography of religion. They use the iconography of the United States in order to enrich themselves and basically sell the United States for parts. I mean, what we are seeing right now in this country is the textbook definition of a kakistocracy, the rule by the dumbest people among us, by the most incompetent people among us. But they're doing this intentionally, and I think that's what we have to realize. Everything right here is completely intentional. And when they're going after folks like Greenland, when they're attacking our allies in Canada, they're just stoking more resentment against the United States. They are further harming our economy. The last I saw in Greenland, something like more than 85% of the people want nothing to do with the United States whatsoever, period, end of story. all these countries are just incredibly offended. They are all rising up against us, while, by the way, Vladimir Putin and Russia and our adversaries are cozying up to us. It is a complete upending of American values, of the pro-democracy vision for our country, and it is just absolutely disgusting. And I want folks to realize that the economy is a very delicate thing. And maybe it takes Donald Trump doing everything that he's doing right now for people to really realize the influence that a president can have on the economy. But there is a reason why things like the Federal Reserve are independent of the presidency. There is a reason that they move things in such a slight way, these slight adjustments in interest rates, moving them down by 1/4 of a percentage point at a time, or up 1/4 of a percentage point at a time. And there's a reason they do that in general. It's to either slow the economy or to pump more money into the economy. Donald Trump is not doing anything with any sort of strategy. He is just recklessly slashing and burning programs, firing people, making these tariff threats, throwing the entire world into chaos. And all of that is going to have effects on the economy. It's all going to have effects on the stock market, your 401ks. It's going to have an effect on the price of goods you pay in the stores. And it goes against everything that he said during the campaign. And it aligns with what Elon Musk said right before the election happened, that Americans are going to have to feel pain. And you finally see right now the White House actually shifting to messaging, which basically boils down to, and this is really messed up for a United States president, an administration to be pushing, but basically their message right now is no pain, no gain. Although it seems like all we're going to have to feel is pain. You see Donald Trump, and we'll get through some of these clips, but Donald Trump is now pitching this. Forget day one, folks. Forget everything's going to be better on day one. Prices are going to come down immediately so quickly. That's out the window. Donald Trump right now is pitching this as a 100-year plan. Yeah, that's not I didn't misspeak. 100, he goes, China thinks in 100-year periods. That's actually what we need to be thinking about. And this could be our transition period. Well, okay, do you all want to wait 100 years for something that's never going to happen? No, these are the words of a huckster, a scammer. The comments that Donald Trump is making right now about the economy, about the state of people's standard of living in the U.S., saying you're going to be so rich, you're not going to even believe how rich you are. We're going to do these gold cards. The tariffs are going to make us all millionaires. These are the same scams that he has pulled his entire life, whether it be with Trump University or literally any of his other failed businesses or endeavors. We're just seeing this now on an international scale, and it is so incredibly dangerous.
Well, if you wonder, how did he bankrupt all of those businesses? It seems how you bankrupted like 4 or 5 businesses over time, and then you had like 8 to 10 other failed businesses. Like, I get it, most new business startups ultimately fail, but I mean, you kind of had limitless resources. You were born, Donald Trump, as a trust fund kid with a golden or platinum spoon in your mouth. So how'd you keep on failing over and over again? Because he does things like this. He's a liar. He's a con artist. And then when things get really bad, you know what he does? He looks out for himself and screws everybody. When it was in Atlantic City, he screwed over the contractors and all of the people who were in Atlantic City, but he took the money for himself. And now he's doing that writ large with the American people. I mean, look at the deal that he made. The deal he made was with Jeff Bezos, first to buy the documentary of his wife for $41 million. And then Donald Trump did a deal today where he sold seasons 1 through 7, the back catalog, so we can see how Donald Trump was basically defrauding the country by pretending to be something he wasn't back then. But then Bezos bought that. So that's what Donald Trump is spending his time doing. Donald Trump made huge transaction fees by selling his scammy crypto coin while that crashed. And then it seems to be that people in his orbit seem to know just when to buy the dip, and then it basically crashes again. But Donald Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago to vacation again this weekend, where who was he hanging with? Billionaire crypto bros. He was bragging about how much money he made off of his meme coin, not the people who put their life savings into the meme coin, because that meme coin is tanking. By the way, as NASDAQ, as the Dow, as the S&P are crashing, you know what's crashing as well? I thought Donald Trump was going to be the Bitcoin president. That ain't doing well either. Bitcoin was crashing as well today. He's literally the worst at everything that he does, and he panics because he's a weak, pathetic individual, and then like a just course, right, just reverses things immediately because he then panics. So let me ask you this. If tariffs are the answer to everything, and tariffs are so great, right? Then why does he stop putting the tariffs on? If they were so great, why, when the markets crash, why does he then stop it? Which actually makes things worse when he stops it. Canada still has their retaliatory tariffs on against America at this point because they're sick of being in this idiotic cycle and dangerous cycle of Trump threatening and not threatening. So they're like, you're going to take it off or you're not going to take it off. We're going to institute retaliatory tariffs until you say they are off forever. And why are you picking on one of your top allies, your biggest trading partner? That's who you're going to go after. And if you go after us, what message did that send to the rest of the world that you're attacking Canada? And by the way, do you see how Canada stood up to Donald Trump? You see how President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico stood up to Donald Trump? You see how easy they were able to outmaneuver him and make him look stupid because they're real leaders and they know how to outmaneuver idiots like Donald Trump. I just think that they were surprised how easy it was to actually do. And now that they see how pathetic it is, they're like, oh, got it. Elbows up. We know how to deal with it. And Brett, we'll talk later in the show about the continuing resolution that MAGA Republicans want to pass because they can't figure out their own budget. Remember, they had the outline for a budget? Well, they can't. They had an outline that they voted on, but they can't actually vote on a real budget. So they're kicking everything until what? Next September is what they want to vote on tomorrow. But guess what's not in there? There's no tax on tips. There's no tax on Social Security. Nothing about no tax on overtime. Every single one of these things was a lie, Brett.
In fact, they're trying to zero out a lot of programs in this continuing resolution, not only take the existing budget and push it along, but they're also trying to zero out things like funding for toxic burn pits for veterans in the PACT Act. Why do they always pick on that too? It's like the most effed up thing on the planet. That's like the thing they're like, I know what we could get rid of. I know what people really don't need. Those 9/11 first responders, F them. Like that's the first thing that they go to. And it's just completely insane what we are seeing. Donald Trump is a complete and total paper tiger who just continues to enrage our allies. And unfortunately, you see, first, I just want to make this clear. What Donald Trump is doing here, it's not some sort of form of four-dimensional chess. I know the Trump people like to say that. I know Fox likes to pretend like there is some method to this madness. I assure you there is not. And you could tell by the way that Donald Trump, anytime the going gets tough, he pulls back on what he's doing and looks like a complete and utter fool. Donald Trump has the attention span of a squirrel. No offense to squirrels. And that little teeny tiny brain of his can only retain information for so long and can only think in very short-term periods of time. And we've heard people who work very closely with him say this as well, like that he can't really think beyond the now. And so when you have Trump making all these moves, he is just really, he's not reacting to long-term trends. He doesn't have any sort of long-term strategy. He is just saying, oh man, the market's going down now. I need to do this. Maybe I should do this. He's constantly trying to turn these levers to adjust things in real time. And all that does, that sort of panic spiraling, that kind of decision-making, it actually makes things a whole lot worse. He takes something that is already beginning to crash, and then he crashes the markets even more. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And then he has these propaganda networks who try their best to get their back, but before they get on message, like today, you see those moments where you see some cracks in the facade, and you see them even have to admit, okay, how do we spin this? The stock market's down 1,000 points today. It's down 1,500 points since Trump took office. It's lower now than it was when Donald Trump was elected in November. It's lower than it was November 5th. We are seeing just the bottom fall out now. Every single day, it seems to get worse as Donald Trump enriches himself and enriches his family. And then one of the kind of headlines we see from some of the mainstream media, Ben, I don't even know if you saw this today while you were teaching your class today, but I feel like I'm annoying you right now. So let me pull this headline up from Bloomberg. This was what the Bloomberg was running. This is the headline. Donald Trump Jr. has plans for monetizing MAGA. At 1789 Capitol, the president's eldest son is chasing profit in the parallel economy of Trump's America. Do you remember when they tried to impeach Joe Biden over Hunter Biden's private dealings? And now they are writing a glowing puff piece about Donald Trump Jr. profiting off his father's presidency and the MAGA movement. I mean, you cannot make this shit up.
Here was the official statement from the White House. Remember, Donald Trump missed a number of these appearances, or at least didn't go on camera like he normally does. But the White House released the following statement about the stock markets downturn. The official White House spokesperson said, quote, "We want to emphasize that we're seeing a strong divergence between animal spirits of the stock market and what we're actually seeing unfold from businesses and business leaders. And the latter is obviously more meaningful than the former on what's in store for the economy in the medium to long term." They're talking about animal spirits of the stock markets. It's bizarre. It's weird. It's dangerous. Let me show you some of these headlines as well. This graph from the Wall Street Journal. Stock market today. NASDAQ falls 4% after Trump doesn't rule out recession. Heather Long, an economist at the Washington Post, put the following: Wall Street is souring on the Trump economic agenda. The Dow fell 890 points today and is now below where it was on Election Day. This is the worst stock market performance in a president's first 50 days since 2009. The market moves today. NASDAQ negative 4%, worst day since 2022. The S&P 500 down 2.7%, and the Dow down negative 2.0%. Also important to note as well, after rebounding in the fall, households now have turned gloomier about their financial situation. The share of households who expect to be better off in a year hit a 4.5-year high in November in the New York Fed survey. The month-over-month drop in February was the largest since May 2022. Consumer confidence is down here, and people have gloomier outlooks, which means less spending. And then in the long run, you start to see that impact May, June, July, but we're already seeing it already. It's important to note as well that I think since 1988 was the last time, and it's hard to find other exemplars, the world economy is actually doing okay and pretty good. Like, it was doing good in other areas. The American economy is the one that's underperforming because of Donald Trump's erratic behavior. I mean, it's linked specifically to Donald Trump. Now, I want to share this with everybody as well, because, we show the Trump clips, we show all of this stuff, but we here at the MeidasTouch Network have also been sharing, and we've been making sure we broadcast all of Senator Bernie Sanders' rallies. Over the past few days, he's been continuing this Fight the Oligarch tour. He spoke in Warren, Michigan, Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Altoona, Wisconsin. And he's speaking in reddish, purplish areas to workers. And I think this right here is the way you have to do it. Like, if anybody were to say, well, what do we do? How do we message it right now? To me, Bernie Sanders, pitch perfect. And now that we have the largest independent media platform in the country, if not the world, I want to use that platform to showcase Senator Bernie Sanders' speeches. And frankly, any other politician who's going to speak like this to workers has a platform that we will look for their speeches and we will broadcast. Let me show you this particularly powerful moment from Senator Bernie Sanders' recent speech in Altoona from March 8th. Let's play it.
Raise your hand. What is it like living paycheck to paycheck? Who wants to? All right, let me get some hands back there. Be loud. We got a hand there. Okay, ma'am. Stressful. Stay on that issue, sir.
You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on.
You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on. Yes, ma'am. Trying to find a way to plan a meal until your next paycheck comes. Ma'am? Forget about buying shoes and clothes for your kids. Ma'am? Skipping doctor's visits. Okay, I see a hand back there, sir. Yeah. Fear that your world is going to fall apart, sir.
Am I getting glasses or am I getting it for my kid?
Am I getting glasses or can I get them for my kids? Sir. Can't plan for the future. Hand back there, sir.
Psychological warfare.
Okay, psychological warfare. Yes. You make impossible decisions for your family, sir.
General insecurity.
General insecurity. Okay, I think you got it. So let me just tell you something. If we were a poor country, I would come before you and give you a very different speech. I'd say, hey, look, I'm sorry, we're poor. We can't afford decent education, can't afford decent health care. I want you never to forget We are the richest country in the history of the world. There is no excuse for people dying young because of that stress.
Powerful. Powerful. Brett, your mic's.
Really powerful stuff. And, I want to just take that clip as, I want to use it as an example for other politicians, other leaders who are going out there and speaking to constituents about the chaos that is happening right now. Because I think Senator Sanders provides a good blueprint for how to speak to people. And I think there is a reason that he resonates with people. First of all, he's real. That he means what he says. Also, he's not trying to do gimmicks. And I feel like far too often, especially in the social media age, and as Democrats and other politicians are trying to figure out how do we reach people, how do we break through the noise, they feel like they need to resort to, let's do this quirky video where we're spouting all this Gen Z lingo and it'll be cute and funny and silly and it'll break through because it's so silly. Or maybe we do this video and we just curse a bunch because people want cursing and all things like that. People want you to be real with them. People want you to be able to look them in the eye and genuinely tell them that you understand what they are going through. And I think when Senator Sanders, the reason why he gets these crowds, the reason he gets the reaction that he gets, no matter where he is throughout the country, even in the reddest of districts, the reddest of states, it's because he's genuine and because it's clear that he actually cares and that he believes in what he is saying. So remember, authenticity, authenticity, authenticity. Stop the kind of quirky, funny stuff, unless that's you, by the way. If that's your thing, that's another story. But you need to be authentic to yourself. And you need to be able to level with people and make sure that they understand that you understand their pain and that you are fighting against it. That's just the message that I want people to take away from that.
And you saw what Senator Bernie Sanders was doing. He was listening.
Mm-hmm.
He was listening. He was asking people what they're going through and the pain that they feel so he can relate to them and explain to them what he's going to do to fight for them. But he was showing empathy and listening. You have to listen to people. It's one of the things I pride ourselves here on the MeidasTouch Network. In fact, I think it's really the secret to our growth is that we're always listening to what people are experiencing and going through and making sure that we can channel those feelings and bring it here and then talk about solutions. Got a lot more show. We've got a lot to talk about as well. I want you to, if you can, hit subscribe. Help us get to 5 million subscribers here. We're almost at 5 million subscribers as well. If you can, sign up for patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. That's where we hold our Zoom meetings with our patrons. We don't have outside investors, so that's one of the ways that's helped us grow. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We're going to be posting our secret link soon, so please make sure you sign up now to find out when that meeting is with us. Also, check out MeidasPlus.com. MeidasPlus.com. Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, runs our MeidasPlus.com, does an incredible job there with his daily updates. Great work, Ron, and check it out. We'll be right back after our first quick break of the show.
Millions of Americans grind or clench their teeth at night, and most don't even know that they're doing it. I was one of them. If you have jaw pain or headaches after a night's sleep, there's a high chance you grind or clench your teeth. Teeth grinding, also known as bruxism or TMJ, is generally caused by stress, and it can cause serious damage, such as eroding away your enamel and broken teeth, which leads to expensive dental bills. The solution to protecting your teeth is a mouth guard, but mouth guards from the dentist can cost you around $500 to $800. The good news is that there's Remy. Remy makes dental-grade professional quality mouth guards without the painful price tag. They're up to 80% cheaper of what you'd pay at the dentist and don't require you to visit a dental office. Remy's process is simple. They send you an at-home impression kit to create molds of your teeth. You send those back to Remy, and Remy's dental team will make your custom-fit guards and send them right back to you. Remy's guards are so comfortable to wear that most customers forget they're even wearing them. Plus, with a 45-night satisfaction guarantee, you can try it risk-free, sleep better, and decide if it's the perfect fit. If not, Remy's got you covered. Look, I've done the whole Remy process. It's phenomenal. Their team is incredible. The product is perfect. Definitely check it out if you fit this category. Remy is for anyone dealing with nighttime grinding, clenching, or jaw pain who wants an affordable solution to protect their smile and say goodnight to jaw pain and headaches. Head to shopremy.com/Meidas and use code Meidas to save up to 50%. That's 50% off at shopremi.com/Meidas with code Meidas. Give your teeth a break without breaking the bank with Remy. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode. If there's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, it's with pre-alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on having a great next day without worrying. Look, I won't lie. I was a bit on the fence about pre-alcohol initially, but then while hanging out with some friends over at our local brewery, I gave it a shot, and believe me, it's the real deal. When I first gave pre-alcohol a try months ago, I was at a wedding. I drank it before my first martini, and you wouldn't believe how on top of my game I felt the very next morning. This March Madness, don't let anything sideline your celebrations. Grab pre-alcohol before you go out and be ready to cheer on your team all day and night long. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use code Meidas at checkout for 15% off.
Welcome back to the MeidasTouch Podcast. Great reads by Jordy, and thanks to our pro-democracy sponsors right there. We don't have outside investors, so those pro-democracy sponsors go a big way to help. The discount codes are in the description below. You know, it's so interesting, Brett, to see these MAGA Republican Congress members contort themselves into these kind of spineless fascist pretzels to try to support Donald Trump crashing the economy. Like, this is a good thing and this is a normal thing. And it was just also, I was been thinking about this more and more. You know, when I think about that joint session from last week, that disastrous joint session that Donald Trump held, where you had the MAGA Republicans giving standing ovations as Donald Trump was talking about things like getting rid of the CHIPS Act, which provides billions of dollars of investment to red states, as Donald Trump gets rid of the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Act, these major Biden initiatives that were putting a lot of people to work with high-paying jobs, and not just in blue states, in red states and purple states. And then you saw the members of Congress like clapping, and it just reminded me these MAGA Republicans look just like when you watch the way like the politicians in North Korea, you know, clap for Kim Jong-un. Like, you know, it's like this like nervous, frantic clap that they're all like don't know what to do, but they have to clap for dear leader, as he's literally talking about taking away the jobs from their own congressional districts. I mean, take a look at this guy. This is MAGA Republican Tom Emmer, who in another age was viewed as like not like a crazy guy, you know, but he's like full MAGA nutso right now. Here, watch what Tom Emmer said about the tariffs. Let's play.
The markets are going to have all kinds of different things going on, but yes, we are going to stay the course because this country's future depends on it. Why should Americans not have free and full access to markets around the world when we give all of those other folks access to our markets right here in the United States. I think Donald Trump made it very clear this is what he was going to do. I think the public's with him. And by the way, if Canada or other of our trade partners want to try and make this hard on Americans, Charles, it's actually going to help Donald Trump, because he told all of us during his campaign, all Americans, that they don't care about you. I'm the one that cares about you. I'm the one that's going to take care of this. And I think Americans are going to support him even more.
You know, ironic.
Yeah, Donald Trump said, I alone can fix it. Donald Trump also said on day one, there would be a peace deal in Ukraine. He said, actually, before day one, he had such a great relationship with Zelensky and Putin. He said it would be easy to get a deal done. The only deal Donald Trump even somewhat focused on, I guess, for a little bit, was to steal Ukraine's mineral resources. Then we started talking about some deal where we would basically steal their minerals and then give Russia the rest of their land. I mean, so the deal, I guess, was a deal with Putin that Trump viewed that his regime would take the minerals for his sovereign wealth fund so he can then go and acquire Greenland. I mean, you have to think about what Donald Trump's thinking in his own mind, and you can piece this together based on his post. So Trump would get part of Ukraine and the minerals, and then Putin would get the other part. That was the deal, obviously, that Donald Trump was thinking about, in my opinion. And you know, again, he's showed every day that all he's doing is what Putin would want. I mean, directly. I mean, you've got Donald Trump cutting off the satellite imagery and intelligence to Ukraine, not just turning off the military aid, which, by the way, helped American companies because the military aid was in the form of weapons and systems that were being developed in America and then sent to Ukraine. So you're hurting American businesses and hurting Ukraine. But he also shut off the intelligence. He's also stopped doing a lot of like joint NATO missions and kind of task force stuff together. You know, every one of his steps and actions would be only to the benefit of like a Putin. Here, Donald Trump is asked by a Washington Post reporter on Air Force One as he was flying back from his Mar-a-Lago vacation on Sunday to D.C. to cause more havoc. He was asked, do you believe Putin is disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine? Here, watch his response.
Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there? Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there?
What did he do?
Well, he's attacking Ukraine.
Is he disrespecting me?
Yeah.
Who are you with?
I'm Michael Burnbaum from Washington Post.
You've lost a lot of credibility. Go ahead. What else?
And again, he looks like an addled, cognitively impaired individual, but I don't want to lean on that because I don't want to give, frankly, him an excuse for his behavior. I mean, he's a horrific human being, but when he's answering the questions too, and he's like, huh? Who you with? Huh? No, you are bad. You are a bad boy. I'm not going to answer that question for you. Is he disrespecting me? How? Meanwhile, Elon Musk, who's either serving as a co-president or the lead dictator in this regime, whichever you want to say. Here are the types of posts that Elon has been making. So MAGA Republican Senator from Oklahoma, Mike Lee, goes, exit NATO now, ! To which Elon Musk responds, we really should. It doesn't make sense for America to pay for the defense of Europe. Then you have Democratic Senator, veteran, astronaut, hero, Senator Mark Kelly was in Ukraine, and he posted a photo of him in Ukraine. Just left Ukraine. What I saw proved to me we can't give up on the Ukrainian people. Everyone wants this war to end, but any agreement has to protect Ukraine's security and can't be a giveaway to Putin. Let me tell you about my trip to Ukraine and why it's important we stand with Ukraine, to which Elon Musk responds, traitor. You are a traitor, Elon Musk says. Then Elon Musk goes on Fox with Larry Kudlow and then blames a cyber attack on X, which used to be Twitter. He says he blames it on people around Ukraine and says it's their fault. People around Ukraine. Surprise, surprise. He's going to blame everything on Ukraine. Here, watch this.
Position, what are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. Yes. It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website?
Okay, let's blame it. Must be them. And then also, Brett, over the weekend, he posted an attack at Poland's foreign minister and called it and said, "Sit down, little man," when Poland's foreign minister just talked about how Poland had fully paid for Starlink in Ukraine already, and there was no right to take Starlink down. And then Musk attacked Poland's foreign minister and said, "Sit down, little man, sit down. I can do what I want to do." Brett, you're muted again.
The tactics of Elon Musk and the tactics of Donald Trump don't just resemble what happens in Putin's Russia. They are literally the same tactics that they use. And when I hear Elon Musk say that about Ukraine, by the way, we don't even know if there actually was, in fact, a cyber attack at all. Anytime X, Twitter, whatever they're calling it, goes down, historically now over the past few years, Elon Musk said, we're under cyber attack, and then blames somebody. So when this happened earlier and people were having trouble logging on, in our chat of Meidas employees, somebody literally made a kind of joke saying, watch him blame Ukraine for this. That's how predictable these people are with their propaganda. So we said it as an outlandish sort of thing, watch him do this. And then a couple hours later, he ran to Fox, and that's exactly what he did. Because this is what they do. And this is what kind of Twitter and X is designed for right now. It's designed to smear people and spread lies and spread disinformation in order to provide justification for some of the most heinous acts imaginable in humanity. So in this case, they are looking for some sort of out in order not to help Ukraine. They're looking to build more resentment against Ukraine. They're looking for more reasons to back out of deals, to back Russia, to do all the things that they are doing. So as predicate for that, Elon Musk is, without any proof, without any evidence, without anything, is accusing Ukraine of a cyber attack on Twitter. I think they have some more important things to do right now than attack X and make it so people can't tweet as frequently, especially when the people of Ukraine actually use the site in order to communicate and get out information. But these are the ruthless, disgraceful tactics that we are seeing out of this regime, and we're seeing it all over the map. I think we'll talk in a little bit about Mahmoud Khalil, the pro-Palestinian activist. But they're using similar, who was arrested by Donald Trump, threatened with deportation. But we're seeing similar tactics there as well, where they make up smears about a person in order to justify heinous acts. In that case, taking a legal resident of the United States, a permanent resident, stripping his citizenship and trying to deport him over accusations. That is not what the United States of America is, but that is how Donald Trump operates, and that is how Elon Musk operates. And this is why they are such a threat to democracy. And this is why, by the way, regardless of your political party, I don't care if you consider yourself left, right, center, or whatever, this is not something you want in a leader of this country. You do not want people with unfettered power to make up lies about U.S. Citizens or residents or anybody, and then use that as predicate to use unilateral power in order to punish them or do whatever they want to do. That is the kind of stuff in tin pot dictatorships, not the kind of stuff that happens in the United States of America, where we're at least supposed to have due process, where we are at least supposed to lead with the actual facts before doing heinous things such as those.
The headline from The Onion, which, is supposed to be satire, although the line between satire and the idiocracy that's now festering in the White House is essentially blurred, is Trump says recession unfortunate, but a necessary step to get to a Great Depression. So that was the headline from The Onion. That's not too different from what Donald Trump said when he was asked by Maria Bartiromo that question. I think we have the clip of when Trump was asked, are you expecting a recession? Here's what he said.
And I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget,
First off, it's still a bunch of word salad that he's saying. He promised that he was going to fix everything on day one. And frankly, if he wouldn't have done a thing, he could have just claimed it, because former President Biden brought it to a strong economy, where the Wall Street Journal was saying the U.S. economy is the envy of the world. Other headlines where we're in something better than a Goldilocks economy. That's just right. Former President Biden brought inflation under control that was caused by Trump administration, number one, by adding $8 trillion in debt. And by the way, don't believe me that that's what caused it. Go listen to what Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis said the cause was during the Republican debates. Let me just show you this one other clip right here where Trump talks about he's trying to blame it on Biden. We've had record-setting inflation under Biden. Here, listen to what he says here.
You wouldn't have had inflation. We had record-setting inflation under Biden. It was a killer. It's one of the reasons I won the election.
But you may get it again with these tariffs, right? I mean, one CEO said to me, my input costs have already started to go up. I'm going to have to raise prices.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, you know, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. You know, nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money.
Let me show you this one other clip of what Maria Bartiromo talks about. Tariffs high, markets down. Here's what she says.
But I asked you about this before, and I know you told me when I asked you, I said, you did use MCA. You put this together.
Yeah.
And yet then you come back and you change it up with these tariffs. And you said to me at that time, I did it because I can. I put an amendment in there, and I said in 6 years I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well, I think so. But, you know, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. And, you know, I don't know if it's predictability. I think
so that's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. You know, it sounds good to say.
So the headline that I showed you from The Onion is kind of what Trump was saying there. I mean, zero confidence, blaming things on Biden, saying that he can't control, just give him more time. This is the Ponzi scheme phase of Trump. We've seen it in his other businesses, and now he just delays, and then he makes things worse. And that's what I want to talk about when we come back from our next quick break. I want to remind everybody, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Join us on our next Zoom meeting if you ever wanted to meet me, Brett, and Jordy. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Also, MeidasPlus.com. Go check that out. And a reminder as well, make sure you subscribe on audio and YouTube. YouTube watchers, go to our audio podcast. Just search MeidasTouch. Audio listeners, go to our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please, on the audio, leave a 5-star review because a lot of the Trumpers and Roganers are out there putting negative reviews to try to harm us in the algorithm. So if you like the show, give a 5-star review. Let's take our last quick break of the show. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, wouldn't you like to look a little younger, maybe get a few more compliments on your skin, or just feel more confident when you look in the mirror? That's exactly what Caldera Lab is here for. Their high-performance skincare is designed specifically for men. Simple, effective, and backed by science. In a consumer study, 100% of men said their skin looked smoother and healthier. 96.9% noticed improved hydration and texture, and 93.8% reported a more youthful appearance. And it's not just talk. Caldera Lab spends years developing and testing each formula with leading cosmetic chemists to make sure it actually works. If they don't love it, they don't release it. Caldera Lab's powerhouse products include The Good, an award-winning serum packed with 27 active botanicals and 3.4 million antioxidant units per drop to help protect your skin from environment stressors. The Eye Serum helps reduce the appearance of tired eyes, dark circles, and puffiness with a breakthrough peptide complex and adaptogens that support skin resilience. It'll help you look well-rested even when last night's choices have you feeling otherwise. The Base Layer, a nutrient-rich moisturizer infused with plant stem cells and snow mushrooms extract, known for their deep hydration and skin rejuvenating properties. It absorbs fast, leaving a non-greasy, matte finish to your skin, feels hydrated without the shine. Here's why I love Caldera, and I know you will too. It's their cutting-edge formulas, developed by leading cosmetic chemists who specialized in men's skincare. Their rigorous R&D cycles. Every product takes years to develop and test to make it perfect. If they don't love it, they don't release it. The non-comedenic formulas, meaning they won't clog pores, they're certified cruelty-free, and there's no animal testing ever. And my favorite, they're plastic neutral. For every product sold, they remove the same amount of plastic from the environment. Skincare doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be good. Upgrade your routine with Caldera Lab and see the difference for yourself. Go to calderalab.com/Meidas and use Meidas at checkout for 15% off your first order.
You know what's harder than deciding what to watch at night? Figuring out what to cook for dinner. You waste time scrolling through recipes, debating if you have all the ingredients, and before you know it, you've given up and made ramen again. That's why I love Home Chef. They take all the stress out of meal planning by delivering fresh ingredients and chef-design recipes straight to your door. And I'm telling you, the quality is unmatched. Users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef #1 in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. Whether you want classic meal kits, 30-minute recipes, oven-ready options, or quick 5-ingredient meals, Home Chef has you covered. They offer over 30 options a week, so you'll never get bored. And the best part, it actually saves money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life, and of course, free shipping on your first box. Just go to homechef.com/Meidas. That's homechef.com/Meidas for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
Thank you to our pro-democracy sponsors. Great ad read Jordy, great ad read Brett. Discount codes are in the description below. I know Jordy spends a lot of time vetting those sponsors. We use those products, and so check it out yourself. It also supports the show, and tell them that the MeidasTouch Network sent you. Brett, one thing I just do want to mention too, before talking about some international affairs, is that, you know, the one thing that MAGA Republicans had said repeatedly that they wanted to do is never have continuing resolutions ever again, and to pass their own budget, and they were going to get this done. They were supposed to get it done in the last term, which they controlled the House of Representatives, but they failed to do it then. Then the day before the government was about to shut down, they would pass a continuing resolution, which, by the way, extends the budget from Nancy Pelosi and when the Democrats controlled the House of Representatives. So you know how they attack that budget? Well, they continue it with a continuing resolution. That's what it's called. So you may be confused to be like, but didn't they pass a budget? No. They talked about like a blueprint of a budget that they passed, but they have not been able to pass an actual budget beyond the blueprint because the blueprint is just total and utter BS. So what they've done is they just do these continuing resolutions, but then what they've tried to do in these continuing resolutions is to make it like not actually a continuing resolution. So they like sneak in this 99-page document, all of these lines about various like departments and programs getting $0. So it's not a continuing resolution. It's basically rescission without voting on rescission by just putting $0 as though people aren't going to notice. And for those audio listeners, we just put up on screen all of these MAGA Republicans who said, we will never support continuing resolutions ever, who continue to support continuing resolutions while they complain that the budget was filled with fraud. You know, the same way I also asked before rhetorically that if Donald Trump thinks tariffs so great, why does he keep like withdrawing them? If you think it's great, why don't you keep them on? Why are you getting scared if this is going to be the fix to everything, right? If it's all that easy. My other question, though, is a basic one, too. If there's all of this fraud that Elon Musk and Trump, right, all this fraud, right, and they're not shy about using the Department of Justice to go after people, right? Where are all the fraud arrests? Right? Like, where's all these people being arrested for the Doge fraud that's been found? And the answer is there isn't. Also, by the way, may I ask rhetorically, where are those Epstein files? Where are they? Didn't the Trump administration say they were going to be releasing those files on day one. It seems every single promise is broken. Remember, they gave the right-wing MAGA influencers a binder that said, "Here it is, the Epstein files. We got it, everybody."
What happened to that? I thought you all were so confident about. You decided to bring home the Tate brothers. Allegedly, that was your move instead of going after the traffickers.
They'll trade it. They'll trade the actual Epstein files for the Tate brothers.
Gotcha. And by the way, let me break down quickly because you said this wasn't a clean CR. So I'll just tell you like some of the things that are in there. I'm reading through it right now. The bill slashes a number of government funding accounts to $0, including the cops' police grants. Those are the police grants for local police departments, various programs of the EPA, healthcare, education. It puts $0. It basically changes. It says like in the budget, it would normally be X amount of dollars going to this program. It zeroes out the following program, saying replace that number with $0 for the Department of Agriculture, Department of Energy, and multiple other expenditures. It also zeroes out the Toxic Exposures Fund to care for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic substances on October 1st. These are the kinds of things they're trying to sneak in this bill. I mean, it's just really cynical, dirty kind of politics that they're playing. But we're learning Hakeem Jeffries, to the Democrats' credit in Congress, they've come out and they said that they will not be voting for this. They are taking a stand, which they should. And so this is going to be on Mike Johnson now in order to try to pass this thing. There have already been multiple people in the Republicans in Congress who have come out and said that they will not vote for this. I'm not speaking about the frauds who Ben showed in the we showed in this other screenshot from the past CRs that said we'll never do this again. But I'm talking about some people like Rand Paul, who came out saying that he would be a no on the continuing resolution. And so we'll see how many other no votes start to rack up, because Mike Johnson once again is going to be in a hard place. They're going to try to blame the Democrats for their own failure once again in order to pass this bill. So we'll be monitoring this closely. You know, they're panicked also because Donald Trump right now is frantically making phone calls to the members of Congress, asking them to pass this continuing resolution. So a lot going on. We're going to be following all of it. So, make sure you're listening to stay up to date.
And remember, there's nothing in here about no tax on tips, nothing in here about no tax on Social Security, nothing in here about no tax on overtime. What happened? What happened to all of those things, right? What happened to all of those
Remember the day when they lied about all that too? And they're like, it's in the bill. With no tax on social. They just
here are the Epstein files. I got it. All of these things are in the bill. Like,
you're being scammed, guys.
But like, I just don't get when someone scams you so obviously and maliciously, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again. Like, how do you keep going back to the same? But really, this time he means it. This time he means it. You know who's not going to be scammed? Canada, or the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, or the leaders in Europe. Like they get what's going on right here. And in Canada, the Liberal Party just picked their new leader, who will be an interim prime minister. And then there will be a vote for what the next government is going to be. They picked Mark Carney to be their leader. Now, Mark Carney was a governor of the Bank of Canada and led a real banker, someone who really understands the economy, like the perfect person to go against Donald Trump, right? And it was a seamless, graceful handoff from Prime Minister Trudeau to Mark Carney. And I think they're picking the right guy for the moment too, someone with real, actual economic chops. And then Carney led Canada out of the kind of horrible economy in the mid-2000s, steady hand there. And then he led the Board of Governors, or he was a governor of the Bank of England as well. And so widely viewed as one of the top economic, people, if not the top in the world. He was elected as the leader right now. There'll be elections. And now in the polling, the Liberal Party, which was down significantly to the Conservative Party led by Pierre Poilievre, and Poilievre was priding himself on, before all of this, being Maple MAGA. And they would do a lot of, they do the interviews with the podcast people like Jordan Peterson, and Elon Musk would amplify them. And that was like the place to be, I guess, around November of 2024. Not so anymore. But here's Mark Carney, who's the new leader of the Liberal Party, from his speech. Let's play it.
America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
I covered his full speech as well on the MeidasTouch network, and it was powerful indeed, Brett.
Yeah, and thank you to the people of Canada for embracing our coverage of your country. We're learning a lot. We're learning a lot from you. We read all your comments. We've been speaking to a lot of folks over there, and it's been really enlightening and really cool to see. My message to you all is elbows up. Let's keep this going. I want to talk about, another important issue, because the thing is that when you hear statements like that from Canada, when you see Greenland's response to what the United States is doing, Mexico's response, Panama's response, you name it, we're in conflicts with everybody now. It's just ridiculous. It's obvious that the whole world does not want to be the United States of America, despite the fact that Donald Trump says that. It's incredibly ethnocentric. It's not true. Countries actually appreciate their sovereignty. They like their national identity. And we, meanwhile, in the United States, are seeing just an incredible rollback of our rights. And even just today, we saw Civicus, international organization, put the United States on their global watch list because our civil rights are declining at such a rapid rate under Donald Trump. They specifically said it's as a result of Donald Trump becoming president and the actions he is taking that the United States is being added to this human rights watch list. And it's stories like what we saw unfolded over the weekend that is why we are seeing the U.S. being added to these human rights watch lists. So I wanted to cover a story that I think is really important that we all follow. And by the way, this doesn't matter whatever your views on the subject, we should all agree as Americans that this is absolutely 100% not okay. So there is a pro-Palestinian activist. His name is Mahmoud Khalil. He's a recent Columbia University graduate, and he was arrested by ICE over the weekend, March 8th, that was Saturday, at his university-owned apartment in New York. I want to be clear. He is a legal permanent resident who has a green card. He's married to a U.S. citizen who is 8 months pregnant. He was a prominent leader in the Columbia protests, the pro-Palestinian protests. He was a negotiator in those protests. He had a large role in those protests. So Donald Trump recently signed an executive order saying that he was going to combat anti-Semitism on campuses, and he was going to arrest people who engage in anti-Semitism on campuses. So he is trying to make an example out of Mahmoud Khalil, who, by the way, they didn't even apparently know his accurate immigration status when they started going after him. But that didn't matter to them. The ICE agents initially claimed that his student visa was revoked, but then they learned he had a green card, but then they decided it doesn't matter, we're going to arrest him anyway. The State Department's been bragging about it. Trump's been bragging about it on social media. Spineless little Marco Rubio has been bragging about it. And there was a large period of time where people did not even know where Khalil was. People didn't know where did they take him? He was basically disappeared by the United States government as if we were in Russia. Very scary stuff. No due process whatsoever. Just basically ripped him out of his apartment and hid him and then sent him to Louisiana. This is just horrific stuff that we're seeing in the United States of America. And I really don't care whatever your belief is on this topic. We do not just arrest people without due process in this country, disappear them, send them to Louisiana. You cannot just take this idea of anti-Semitism and try to put it on everybody that you want and then arrest people for it. It is just ridiculous. And the messaging from the White House about this has just been so atrocious. And by the way, I even see people who consider themselves to be conservatives to be speaking out about this because it is so egregious and such a violation of the United States Constitution. Just absolutely sick. And these statements that are especially sick are ones like this, coming from the official White House account. It says Shalom Mahmoud. It disgusts me as a Jewish person that they're using the word shalom in order to do their online taunting and bullying and deportations and this disgusting Nazi style stuff that they are doing from the White House. But they go Shalom Mahmoud. ICE proudly apprehended and detained Mahmoud Khalil, a radical foreign pro-Hamas student on the campus of Columbia University. This is the first arrest of many to come. And they say that's a quote from Donald Trump. They have a graphic that says arrested by ICE on March 9th. And then it says led activities aligned to Hamas. There's no proof of any of this. And regardless, you're entitled to your due process in this country, not to just be picked off the street and arrested because of the color of your skin or because of your beliefs. They also shared a post from Donald Trump on his social media app. This is just one of the most heinous things that I've ever seen in this country. It is clearly designed to silence dissent, and the precedent that it sets of a leader of the United States of America ripping somebody out of their home and arresting them because they're saying something you disagree with, to me is absolutely horrific. And so, there was a lawsuit filed immediately after this, and Trump's trying to deport. He's a permanent legal U.S. citizen. Trump's been trying to deport him. So for now, at least a U.S. Federal judge has stepped in and said under no circumstances can the Trump administration deport Khalil. You need to let due process play out. You need to let the process in general play out, all the proceedings play out. And so that's where we are right now. There are already protests that have been popping up throughout the country, especially in New York, regarding this issue. But it's a frightening thing to see in America. Like I said, regardless of your beliefs on the specifics of the topics, a very frightening thing to watch happen in America, somebody ripped out of their home for saying something that the government disagrees with. That is not the United States of America.
And that's where they start, and then they encroach further on other people when they say the media is the enemy of the people, the enemy of the people. That's where they go, next. And what's one of the things that Donald Trump, I think, is trying to do as well, or would want to do. I think Trump wants to create conditions for martial law, where he could also invoke things like an insurrection act, and he could, try to, rule the way a Putin does or a Kim Jong-un does. But I think the resistance is growing stronger. I really do. There have been so many people who have been speaking out or talking to me and expressing kind of their love of the MeidasTouch network, or they've been asking me my views about what I think about the growth, and you're beating Fox News, and I put news in quotes. You're beating Rogan. You're beating all of these networks. Like isn't that great? And I go, look, that's never why I sought out to do this with my brothers. Number one, and number two, this is not a spike the football moment. Okay. I know that there are so many people out there who are now suffering under a Trump economy. I know so many people who are living paycheck to paycheck. I know so many people who don't know what's going to happen at any given period of time with Trump. Are they going to be able to access health care? What's going to happen to their Medicaid? What's going to happen to their Social Security? So this is not, for me and for this network, a spike the football celebratory moment. This is, in the words of Charlie Angus and a number of others in Canada, this is a time, though, to go elbows up. This is a time to go over the boards. This is a time, where we as reporters and leading this independent media network, have to reflect dutifully on the responsibility, the awesome responsibility that you've all placed in us and entrusted us with, and to make sure we're delivering on these things. That's why I'm sure you've seen our coverage over the weekend. We've been covering the protests that are taking place. We've been talking about in specific detail a lot of the foreign policy issues, what's going on in Ukraine. We did a whole video talking about the drone swarms and other missile strikes being carried out by Putin against Ukraine, as Donald Trump and this regime has stopped sharing intelligence. We talked about the pro-Ukrainian movement, and protest and rallies happening here in the United States as well. it's an awesome responsibility that you've entrusted us with, and it's vital to us to meet this moment as well for you each and every day. And as I said to a reporter recently asking about, well, what do you think it is, that's appealing of your coverage, in Canada? And I just said, one of the most important things, I think we listen. We take that responsibility seriously. And it's important that we are, continuing to build bridges and build trust and report day in and day out. That's what we do here. We chop wood in terms of putting out this content and build each day, day by day. And we're so grateful for all of you, the Meidas Mighty. If you reflect on authoritarian regimes in the past, they were able to kind of take over all aspects of government. In Nazi Germany, they call it synchrosity or synchronization. There was a German word for that. So, and some historians put it within 30 days, others put it within about 50 days of Hitler taking over all aspects of government. And in my view, Project 2025 is a version of synchronization, of trying to have Trump take over all aspects of the government, suppress all dissent, control the media, and they were trying to accomplish that with what they referred to as shock and awe in a 30 to 50 day period. We're now approaching that day 50, and I think that the resistance is growing stronger. I see Trump and Musk growing weaker. Trump is fumbling, bumbling, not showing up at appearances. He's looking like a mess. He's using the small steps to go up Air Force One as well, and just seems more and more disinterested. He thought the tariffs were going to make Canada and Mexico and Europe bend the knee, which they didn't. He's seeing people stand up, and Trump's whole history in life is not dealing with adversity responsibly. It's actually running away from it, which is why he bankrupted so many things. Why I liked former President Biden's leadership is he did it silently without chaos, but he made tough decisions and he stood up. He was okay with adversity. He was okay with problems. He dealt with them. He didn't avoid them the way Trump does. Trump creates it, then avoids it. And now we're in that avoidance kind of runaway stage that we saw during COVID. Runs away from it, makes things worse. And that's problematic for all of us. But I think the resistance grows and grows and grows now. And, and I think there's a reason why these Republicans are no longer doing the town halls. And, their playbook is so simple and so stupid. Oh, George Soros is sending the people. It's George Soros's fault. I mean, it's ridiculous. People are suffering because of Trump and Musk and the regime's actions. And people are pissed. It's why I like to see Senator Bernie Sanders speaking directly to people that way. And so we'll keep building this network with you. We'll be here with you every step of the way. I want to give a shout out to all the Meidas Mighty who have made the growth of this network possible. I want to thank our mods for holding this down and keeping the discussions civil here. I want to remind everybody about patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Also, you can check us out at MeidasPlus.com. Check it out there. And also, I'll give a shout out to my guy, Michael Popak, who started the Popak Law Firm. I'm so proud of him for taking that leap. It's the popakfirm.com. And also, he has 1-877-POPAK-AF, where he takes those really big, like catastrophic injury cases. And so good for Popak starting that as well. Thank you to our pro-democracy sponsors. And we'll keep making videos. We'll keep getting the news out. Keep checking it out. Keep checking back. Make sure you subscribe. Turn your notifications on. We'll get through this together. We're gonna get through this together. Brett, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I'll just say that we view this network as a two-way street. We never want to just feel like we're talking at you. We want to let you into what we're doing here, and that I want you to know that you're a central part to what we do here. And we read your comments. We read everything. So if you want us to have a certain guest on the show, feel free to pitch them, right? If you want us to discuss certain topics, feel free to pitch them. We want to be your voice ultimately, and that's what we aim to do. And we want you to be a part of this process. And then I'll leave it on there. And then, that's a good segue into me saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe to the MeidasTouch Podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It's so important, by the way, for the way the algorithms work, that you do that and that you add a 5-star review if you can. It's totally free to do. Just go look up the show on those apps. And thank you for all the support. And then I'll just say, shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.